Thank you for the class. Mara, you mentioned Krishna exhibits his pastimes so that we can very quickly attain the higher levels of bhakti. And personally, I relish hearing and even discussing Leelas of Vraja, like maybe Kusum Sarovar and Radha Kund, Shyam Kund and Man Mandir or More Kutir, all those places. And at the same time, it seems based on the initial discussion, does it mean that we should be a little careful, or by no standard I am deep into the scriptures as such? So what was the initial understanding from the initial talk of this lecture? Is it prohibited kind of? Because at the same time, you only mentioned right now what good it is if we have the best thing, but we can't tell anyone.
Yes. So the Prabhupada said we do not boycott Srimati Radharani, but the way that we approach is important. And we learned, all of us in ISKCON, a lesson when the Chaitanya Charitamrita came out in 1975. There were a group of devotees who speculated, and they thought that they would exclusively hear parts of the Chaitanya Charitamrita that were about the conjugal pastimes of Krishna and Radharani, to the exclusion of all other kinds of pastimes, including the Bhagavad Gita, which they decided to eschew based on their speculative understanding that if they just poured over the conjugal pastimes of the Lord in association with others who were similarly dedicated, so much so that they created a club called the Gopi Bhava Club, that they would very quickly attain Gopi Bhava. And Prabhupada said that wasn't the idea of this. And it was because he said one has to, and he mentions this in the first canto of the Bhagavatam, go by categories. We may notice when we go through the first 9 cantos of Srimad Bhagavatam, predicaments of various personalities that resemble our own predicaments in the material world. I don't know what the definition of predicament is, but maybe our research department can figure it out really fast. There's a way in which we get entangled in the material world, and it's really difficult to get out of. Even Devahuti says to Kapila Dev, you know, I'm hearing all this, but it really seems impossible to get out of this situation. And Kapila Dev says you have to hear these topics for a long time to come to a state of qualification. And Prabhupada said that we should not exclusively try to hear any particular part of the Shastra. In fact, it's recommended go through the first 9 cantos before you come to the 10th canto. So why did Prabhupada stop translating and commentating on the third canto in his marathon to finish the Bhagavatam? Does anybody know the answer? Why did he take a hiatus? Vijay, of course, knows. Go ahead.
Because he wanted everybody to hear the Pastimes of Krishna, but he didn't know if
He wrote the Krishna book. He took time off from the 3rd canto onward for a little while to finish the Krishna book. And the reason is it's so important to hear these pastimes of Krishna. And Prabhupada offered the Krishna book to the world. It was mass-produced and distributed. So what's that all about? Prabhupada painstakingly gives context throughout the summary of the 10th canto so that nobody makes a mistake. And if you that doesn't strike a chord with you, read it again. Because you'll notice that he interjects within the various aspects of the discussion of various pastimes of Krishna, especially, well, all of them, to give context that Krishna, from Bhagavad Gita, from Sri Upanishad, from logic and so forth, so nobody misunderstands. And that also happens in the Rasa Dance chapter itself, because Parikshit Maharaj is listening, and there's a big assembly. Have you ever been in a room? A lot of people come in. I was at Baltimore the other night. There was at least 300 people in the temple room. And I said, is anybody new here? And 2 people raised their hand. So downshift, first gear, not even third or fourth. Start with, and similarly, Parikshit Maharaj noticed, oh, there's some Gyanis around here, and they're starting to look a little perturbed with this discussion of Krishna dancing with other people's wives at the dead of night. So he said to Shukadeva Goswami during the conversation, yeah, why is he doing this? Because he wanted Shukadeva to explain it, to give the categorical knowledge. Well, actually, just as a child plays with his shadow, like God is playing with his energies. They're already his energies. They're not really other people's wives. And so forth, gives context, because it's easy to misunderstand. So we're rather protected by Prabhupada's presentation of Krishna's pastimes. So what he taught us about the Gopi Bhava Club, which he disbanded summarily and totally, he said, don't try to be exclusive before you're ready. Learn all the categories. Know the Bhagavad Gita. Even the great Paramahamsas, when they read Bhagavad Gita over and over again, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu at Tota Gopinath with Gadadhar Pandit, he could have read anything, but he read Dhruva Maharaj and he read Prahlad Maharaj hundreds of times. And he was weeping. And even the gopis had said in the Chaitanya Bhagavat commentary, they would listen to pastimes of Dhruva and they think, oh, tears would come to their eyes. So we're not to skip over anything and think, I'll just go directly to something. And it's kind of the American way. You know, if turmeric works, let's get some scientific process so we can get it down on the molecular level to super turmeric. It'll make your eyes turn yellow. Can't you make it stronger? Not really. It's more like an Ayurveda, you know, you're like, balance everything out and take it as a lifestyle change. And then gradually you'll get healthy. American medicine, oh, come on, just shoot it in my arm. I want to feel it now. And that's the approach many people have. I'll just go right to the top and take the straight thing immediately. And we're guided by our acharyas and protected that we should approach very humbly and be very careful. But he said, in that context, we do not boycott Srimati Radharani. Obviously, from this verse, you have to take it. We're guided by the verse itself. And the Shrunuyad means, Shraddhanvito means you have to take it in with the proper understanding. The faith has to be there.